Hello, I'm Ben Harlow and welcome to Benjy's Cafe Podcast. My guest this week is the presenter and commentator, Max Whittle. Max works across many of the world's top sporting organisations, including the Premier League, the NBA, Major League Baseball London Series and UTS, Ultimate Tennis Showdown. He's also matchday host for Birmingham Phoenix in the 100 and Aston Villa in the WSL, and can also be seen on Sky Sports, Discovery Plus and Amazon Prime. Yep, he's good. In this episode, we discuss the excitement of working in sport and the buzz of going live, plus Max's self-care routine that helps him maintain balance and positivity and coping with the anxiety that often accompanies performance, and the emotional rollercoaster of freelancing.
You go from these massive highs, and I will come back from a New York or a Mexico doing a week of telly. You're with a lot of people. That's the other thing. That's the other challenging thing with freelancing is you go in and out of, they are friends, they become family, and then you don't see them again. That is a real hard thing because you go back to your day-to-day, you might be off for a week or two. Okay, what can I prep for? What are you doing to help your career? And that's another thing, you've got to try and be kind to yourself.
Cool, charming and talented. He's got the Max factor and more. This will be great. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe Podcast, Max Whittle. Good morning, Max. How are you?
Ben, you've done the humble brag for me. Thank you. I'm very well, thank you. I feel like I'm in a cafe now, which is nice.
Well, what a nice start to the week, isn't it? Do you like a little cheeky morning coffee to rev you up?
I'm all about the herbal tea these days. I'm a bit of a phase person. So I had my mocha phase, which is a bit of a child phase. That was only 2 years ago. So you hit your 30s, you start mochas. And then cappuccinos, decaf cappuccinos. Now I'm herbal tea. What about you?
Well, when you hit your late 50s like I have, you hit your moccasins, let alone mochas. A nice pair of relaxing chinos and a moccasin, wonderful. But no, I'm coffee, especially since I've ditched the booze. Gosh, it's 2 years ago on Thursday. But yeah, morning coffee, I love it. It's my nice little kind of ritual into the day. It just sets me up, I love it. A nice pot of coffee, it gets me going.
2 years Thursday. So I'm actually celebrating my 2-year anniversary with my girlfriend today. So we've got to. This week has to be our thing,
It's wonderful. Oh, congratulations, Max! I love it.
Thank you.
Well, it's great to see you. You're looking nice and relaxed there. But my God, in my head, you're the Phileas Fogg of the sporting presenting world, Max. You seem to be here, there, and everywhere. Where are you just back from? Has it been an exciting few months for you?
Yeah. So you mentioned the Ultimate Tennis Showdown, UTS tour, which is essentially the same players that play on the ATP tour in tennis, except it's a short format. And we've just got back from France. We went to Nîmes, and it's called the Arène de Nîmes. It's a 1st century Roman Colosseum built for gladiators. And on the Saturday we were there, we had a 2-day event. It was packed, 12,500 people. And I don't think I've ever worked. I mean, we met at Edgbaston, which is the Holy Grail, right? But
Yes, it is.
This place was crazy. It was one of those jobs, and I'm sure you have the same, especially when you're announcing. So you're not in vision all the time. We're commentating a lot, and you're just looking around, thinking, "This is crazy. How am I here?"
Oh, what an atmosphere. And I love what they seem to be doing with Ultimate Tennis Showdown. It's kind of really freshening up the viewing experience, isn't it? Especially in venues like that. Wonderful.
Yeah, I do say as well to people that don't really know it. It's like the 100 in cricket or it's like basketball because it's 4 quarters, it's time, so you know exactly how long the match will be. It's not like a 5-set, 5-hour Grand Slam match. And we get to interview the players between quarters. So when they do their changeovers, coach and player put the headphones on, we have a chat for a minute at a time. And the whole show is so immersive. We obviously have questions coming in from social media. It's all across broadcast, but it's so different to your traditional tennis. And I think that brings out the best in myself and my co-host Jenny, because we are able to be a little bit more relaxed and have a bit more fun with it. So yeah, it's great. And they take us to some nice places. We've been to Mexico as well this year. So the holiday aspect is also pretty cool.
Mexico, France, Edgbaston. It's a tricky one, isn't it, Max? But you mentioned there, it must be so lovely to put your stamp, your personality on the content, on what's going out there, I imagine.
Yeah, and it's always been a difficult one for me, finding my voice. I don't know about you, but I went through social media first, and that's where I kind of I felt like I could relax a bit more, and that's where I found out how I had conversations with athletes, and I've taken that onto broadcast now, and with the UTS stuff, it just fits my style. And yes, I'm sure we'll get into it, like where we want to go in our careers, and there are different roles you have to play for certain channels, for certain sports, but this really feels like I'm at home because it's the only sport I commentate on. So essentially, we host the show, we introduce the players, we talk to coaches and players before we commentate on matches for the whole day. But the commentary side of it, it's the only sport I've commentated on. And for some reason, tennis, I just felt quite comfortable doing it straight away. Like, obviously, it took time to find my feet, but I mean, how many sports have you commentated on? It's such a different skill to hosting or emceeing, right?
Yeah, well, I haven't commentated on anything apart from Aston Villa watching Match of the Day, on my sofa, on the chaise longue.
Swearing.
Yeah, lots of bleeps. Well, not this season, not too many bleeps this season.
No.
But no, you're dead right. It's very tricky, isn't it? Especially, I do a lot of cricket. Cricket's kind of like my main bag, Max, as you know, and it's trying to put your stamp, your little niche, and feeling comfortable behind the mic, isn't it? And especially because you're younger than me, crikey, but it's always nice to feel like you're adding to an event, adding to somebody's enjoyment.
Yeah, and it's not about you. You're not the story, right?
Yeah.
There is a very tough balance between shining a light on what we've just seen and telling people maybe something they don't know about, but also it's not about you. It's about what the players are doing. And it's been nice that I think this is the job that I've had where I've really been able to stick it out. We started this in 2021, so I've been able to learn my craft. And when you start TV, like my first TV job was 2020, just before COVID, and you have to kind of pretend you know what you're doing already because nobody really treats you like, this is his first gig. Like, unless you really want to have that conversation, which I didn't. I felt comfortable to go in there and, just learn as I went. But you have to it's sink or swim. And this tennis job has allowed me to kind of have the reps that I've always wanted in broadcast and then just take that to YouTube, social media, whatever it might be.
What I think is so brilliant about you, Max, as you mentioned, we met on the 100 at Edgbaston, the holy grail of cricket, the mecca of cricket. And I'd heard, I was like, oh, who's hosting there? Who's the matchday host? And, my peers, oh, it's Max, great guy. So you were, you're well liked, but it was such a pleasure to meet you and be like, oh my God, everybody's right. He's such a nice guy. And what I loved, there was no change between our little chat before we got the ears in, got the mics ready, got out there before the crowd arrived, between that and how you presented to that crowd, to 20, 30,000 people. It's so watchable, it's so relaxed, and huge kudos to you. It was wonderful. I think how great that you're now bringing that skill to the tennis. It's brilliant. I just wondered, are you always that relaxed, or are there some days where you might be knackered or having a bit of a bad time away from work where it's like, right, deep breath, I've just got to plough through this?
First of all, thank you. I appreciate your kind words, and I will answer your question. I just wanted to circle back on, I think in this industry, you meet so many people, and my family will tell you, I'm not always the most calm of people. Like, I am quite an anxious person, but my work seems to take me out of that. And meeting people like you're so relaxed, immediately friendly. I mean, you gave me a lift from the hotel to the ground. I think we were able to have a little chat before we worked together, and that really helps. But it is about the people you work with as well. It's about that immediate connection. And I like to share quite quickly my private life as well and how I feel on the day. I just want to do that. It makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And you gave me that space. But I would say with the work, there are some days where, to be honest, a lot of days where I doubt myself, and especially a couple of years ago where I've had some really helpful peers in this industry, like Simon Thomas, who hosts Soccer Saturday now. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And I met him on a Prime Video shoot, and we stayed in touch. And I had a couple of TV gigs recently where I've messaged him and I've said, look, Simon, I'm feeling so anxious about this. Like, what have I messed up? How do you, I'm obsessed with knowing how people prep and their kind of system of working. And he just said to me, like, once you've done the prep and you feel like you've done the prep that you need to do, that you feel comfortable, after that, you just have to back yourself because you are there for a reason. And I've always remembered that. because, I'm doing the French Open this year. It's my first gig with Whisper, and I'm going to get in my head, the closer it gets, like, I'm not as good as the other people I'm working with, etc., etc. I've got to impress the producer. I've got to impress the director. That always comes into your mind. Even going back to when we met, I have to impress you in a certain way because I've worked with Simon Watts before. I've not worked with you. What's he going to think about me? And you're always thinking in your head when you're talking to a mic, who's listening? What are they thinking? You might hear a giggle in the gallery and you think, are they laughing at me? Like, all these things come into your mind. And it's weird because we probably got into this industry for several reasons. We are confident, we are outgoing, but we're also very, very insecure. At least I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's different feelings for all jobs. Sometimes you feel like you're flying on a cloud, others you don't. What about you?
It's so hard to explain, isn't it, Max? You've hit on so many wonderful points there that I'm nearly 50. I've done the 100 for, gosh, I think we're coming to the fifth season this year. I've worked test matches, been on the pitch and Commonwealth Games finals at Edgbaston. And yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. Like you said that morning in the car, I gave you space, but I was probably so nervous about the day ahead. And likewise, meeting you, and it's so nuts, isn't it? This little layer we put up of like, oh yeah, I'm in sports presentation, I'm in theatre, I'm in the creative world, like life's great, oh it's fine. But so many days, especially before work, I have these awful insecurities, and they've got better now. I've stopped drinking. My goodness, my anxiety's dissipated massively. But it's so hard because you're so right. You're getting to an event and it's very tricky to know how you're going to be feeling. And I remember the first season of the 100, just that feeling of dread in my stomach. And you're dead right thinking, these wonderful people, but are they judging me? Oh, what was that chuckle at? You're so right. And it's mentally exhausting, but on the flip side of that, your job is there to be the confident, bold face of the game, voice of the game of the tournament. And it's crazy. In the number of evenings I've finished a day's play and been mentally whacked. And I've really struggled to explain it because, in theory, on paper, people look at your biog, my biog, oh, they'll be fine.
If there was no crowd, would you feel the same way? Because your job is, when you're sat in the audience at a cricket game, the announcer is perfect. They never, ever make a mistake. And if you say I've made a mistake, I haven't heard it. You're so smooth. I think that's the pressure for you, is that I have to get every single word right.
That's a really good question. I think weirdly, and it comes from my theatre background, it goes back to the days when my gran would say, Christmas morning, can you sing, oh, what a beautiful morning in front of the family? I'd be like, no way, Gran, I'm not doing that. And yet, the week before I'd been in front of 3,000 people giving it ABBA. And so weirdly, I think I get more nervous during at the start of the 100, we'll run like the first 10 minutes of the intro together. I think I'll get more nervous about that section of the day than I will when the stadium's full and I'm announcing somebody's 100 in so many balls, and because I'm just used to feeding off a crowd.
That's the skill, I think. And when you have to nail it, which is why I prefer it to be live, I prefer no auto cue on broadcast, because in that moment, I've got this, you have to do this. And then maybe when it's half empty crowd or a pre-record, you almost think, oh no, how many times am I going to mess this up?
But you're always so spot on, and your timing's beautiful, and because people forget you've got voices a go in your ears, haven't you? Giving you countdowns and right, we're throwing to this, we're throwing to that. It's tough, yeah. And also you've got to get those basics right, the stats right as well.
And I think, again, like bringing in fellow presenters who I've especially when I was younger, like asking questions.
Yeah.
There's a guy that used to go to my university, Dan Thomas, who now works over in the States. He's on ESPN FC. And before my first TV job, the only thing I was asking people about was the talkback, because I'd never done it before. It was borderline, like the fear was real. And now I think it's just a friend in your ear, whereas then I'm thinking, how am I going to split my brain in half? That's exactly what he said. He's like, they're there to relax you. They're there to guide you. And yes, you get different types of directors every time. They could be talking way too much. They could be really gentle and really calm and quick things and reminding you about stuff, which is always great. Yeah. But it is ultimately such a good thing to have. it's just something that you ultimately get used to, right?
Yeah, and I think initially when I started, having that voice in the ear, I'd be like, oh my god, in my head, be like, oh, it's my headmaster, miss telling me off or whatever. But it's so funny. It's like a switch that just flicks, where it's like everybody there is to help you and to make you look better and to make you feel more comfortable. Everybody ultimately wants a beautiful product, don't they, as part of this team? And when that kind of thought drops, it just relaxes me, like, oh my goodness, they're probably feeling as anxious as I am. A producer's role at a live event is huge. I'm just there to announce the teams and, incoming batter, etc. And when that penny dropped, I was like, okay, we're all in this together, and that's kind of going to relax me now and help me, as opposed to thinking, oh God, I'm being really judged here. It's such a funny line, isn't it?
Yeah, and you have to remember when you go into a gallery, if no one's ever, obviously TV is the world of TV, you watch it on the screen and you think, okay, it's just four people blabbering on. But you go into a gallery and it's absolute nuts. It's like you've got the director and he's got I'm going to say hundreds of screens, because there's buttons, there's everything. It's like a spaceship, and people are like shouting at each other. And if you've got open talk back in your ear, you can hear just about everything that's going on, because remember, they're communicating with graphics and the announcers, the MC, the presenters, everything at the same time. You're right, like everyone is just in it together. And I think I'm the nightmare, because I always want to know on talkback, like, what's next? Are we doing this or that? And I think
Yeah.
the best thing to remember is TV or sports prayers, it changes so much that you just have to be comfortable with, okay, I'm going to do that next segment, and then someone's going to tell me where to go next, and I have to just think on my feet.
And isn't it crazy, do you find, Max, as well, like all those gamut of emotions you go through before arriving at a ground or a TV studio and getting through the game, the anxieties one is fighting, that when it's done, it's like, what the hell was I worried about? It's like, why did I put myself through all of that? Do you ever get that feeling where it's gone so well,
Yeah.
you've done your prep, and as Simon Thomas said to you, let yourself take over. But every time I'm like, what was I worried about it? 2 a.m, mid old man's piss. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's gone so well.
It's never as bad as you think it is. And that's why I would always say, like, say yes to jobs that you're not sure about, because if it doesn't go the way you want it to, at least you've learned something, you've met new people. But you're right, like that feeling of joy and relief, and you're wired, right? That never goes away. And I think that's the one thing I would say to people that just done their first gig like that. It will never stop. Like, no matter whether you're on air for an hour or 6 or whatever it might be that you're doing, you feel that sense of like, wow, I just did that. And I think that's where it's positive and negative, because it can become quite addictive, that feeling. And yes, you do get used to it. When you come off there, you're like, okay. I think over time you start to go from elation to, right, what can I work on? I mean, for me, I hang on the stuff I didn't get quite right. I didn't get that out of my mouth properly. I said the player's name wrong, or that was a bit accidental, Partridge, which is the easiest thing to do.
That's my whole career, Max.
I mean, if it works, it's brand Harlow, isn't it? That's what works. Yeah, Partridge is so easy, so easy.
My goodness. I think I came out at Old Trafford last year. Somebody hit a 6 in the 100. I was like, he's just ordered a cricket burger with extra runs or something. I was like, literally straight away, I was like, oh my God. But that kind of, the producer loved it, because it's me being myself, which is what you bring to the job. And when you've got that lovely balance, people like a bit different, don't they?
Yeah, and you can get angry or upset that you don't get certain jobs that you think you should be getting, but that might be because you are being yourself. You can't be you can't be someone else. Like, if you aren't right for the work, you might be perfect for the job, but I think that's always what you have to remember. And I've always learned, there's this radio show that I've listened to for like 15 years now. It's over in America. It's called the Dan Patrick Show, and it's all about US sports, but they spill into like comedy, movies, and I just absolutely love when they have guests on. There's 5 of them, but Dan, the host, is the only one who does the interview, and I love the way he interviews. He's one of the best in the industry. Like, he's going on 70 now. He's absolutely amazing, and he's someone who I've really learned from in terms of like keeping your questions short, keeping them open. Like the shorter the question, the more time they've got to think about the answer, right? And just, I think you just learn from certain people along the way, and eventually you find within that your style. And it is a lot of the time based on the sort of stuff you watch yourself on TV. Like people have said to me before, like, where's that? How can you find the X factor? Like, and for me, that would be like an Ant and Dec, for example. The way they present shows, like some people might not like their style, but for me, it's like they seem so relaxed on screen, and that's kind of what I want to get to. Yeah. So for a bit of background, I've actually just reached out to a company for a bit of assistance in terms of broadcast help, because I've never actually had much feedback or help, and I think you're probably the same. Like you kind of just do it, and you network and you get more work.
I think, like yourself, just being a decent chap, willing to learn, make connections, just be likable, and
That's it.
And a good guy, a good egg.
You'll never forget the first like live hit or whatever you do. For me, it was January 2020. I'd done a lot of online NBA presenting for Give Me Sport, who were NBA.com's digital partner in the UK. I'd done that for 2 seasons. We'd film it as live, but I'd never ever done TV. And I think Sky is obviously I remember seeing the microphones that we were about to use, and that's the Sky mic. Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember we had to do a Sky Sports News hit the day before the Paris game. This was back in 2020. The NBA was over in Europe, and I remember I fluffed my lines like at the start, and it wasn't live, so we could start again. But I just remember not feeling that comfortable. And then the next day when we did the live show, we were basically the studio were coming to us every 20 minutes or so for the night.
Yeah.
And I got into a flow, and it was the whole, right, talk back. The guy was really nice. He was saying hello. He was chatting away. He was asking me questions first of all, and then he was saying how the program was going to work. Okay, I can handle that. And then we did the first live hit, and underneath the armpits were going, Ben. The armpits were going, but had this blazer on, so I was fine.
Yeah, the tactical blazer, always good. The tactical blazer.
Exactly that. But I remember that first day, like finishing, I felt so ecstatic afterwards. And, people said to me, like, you look really comfortable, like you've done it before. And then a couple of months later, there was the studio show. And I got a text from a friend saying, you look like you're at home. And that made me feel so happy. And I'm just saying this because, like you say, like you either get no feedback, which is like good news, but okay, how do I get better? And do you ask your boss if, do you want to hear that kind of feedback? So I think people around you are so important, just to say, look, that was great. Maybe do this better next time, or change that. But you need that from your friends and your peers, because you don't often get too much feedback.
Yeah. And also it's, I mean, your career's flying, Max. You're doing so well. It's a tough existence, the hustle for the next gig, especially when you're first starting, and the ups and downs. You'll have periods of employment, then down periods. It's so similar to the world of theatre and acting, just the inconsistency of it all. I've had some really low periods between presenting and acting work where I've hit some really low dark patches where I've just had to like grip onto my joy of running, grip onto my joy of people, and just trying to calm myself and in my little safe cocoon, because it's difficult away from the crowds, away from the traveling and these beautiful venues. It can be so difficult. I just wonder, Max, if you've had any periods where it's like, I'm kind of struggling here.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought it up, because I would say, I don't mind saying this, I've probably had the most challenging 8-9 months of my life, I would say, we've talked about it in briefly, but I think that's where I really appreciate how you, from at least from what we text, I see your social media, you seem to lean into the small things in life. Like you'll do, I'm gonna have a chilled one today, I'm gonna go to the football today, I'm gonna enjoy this, have a great day. Like your positivity is there, and I think it probably came out, like, speak for yourself, obviously, it comes out of this job because you get used to having so much downtime. And I think I'm so much better than I was, because I know I have gigs booked across the year where I'm like, okay, I know that's coming and I'm financially
Yeah.
okay. But I think that's where the doubt does creep in, because you go from these massive, massive highs, and like I will come back from like a New York or a Mexico, as I've mentioned, and you're doing a week of telly, you're with a lot of people. That's the other thing. That's the other challenging thing with
Yeah.
freelancing is you go in and out of, they are friends, they become family, and then you don't see them again. Like I won't see you in a work setting for 12 months at a time, right? That August to August. And you
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
so close to these people. That is a real hard thing, because you go back to your day to day, you might be off for a week or two. Okay, what can I prep for? What can I go and see? But the more you do around, for me in London, the more you go and just, okay, I'm gonna go to a museum today. I just have this voice in my head that says, you're not working, you're not doing enough, you're not studying, you're not, what are you doing to help your career? And that's another thing, like, you've got to try and be kind to yourself. So much of the time I'm just giving myself negative talk, negative talk. And yeah, it's a challenge. And that also makes the work hard, because if you've had a period of
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 weeks off, how fresh are you? Like you
Yeah.
have to just go straight into that gig and be good.
What I love, Max, is that, that you're beginning to realize that it's kind of okay to have days of just nothing, of calm, but at the same time trying to balance and, negate that feeling of, oh, I should be busy. And it takes a while, but it's been so lovely being open about it, being open about this side of our life. I think that's so important, and it's completely okay, because I know that probably 70% of the people I work with within a team, be it theatre or sport, will have issues, will have anxieties. We're all feeling a bit odd here, and it's going to be okay. Life's going to be okay.
You're going from an existence which is, I'm going to get up whatever time I need to get up, have a tea, go for a walk, stay fit, have a chat with someone, watch a show, to, okay, I've got to present in front of thousands of people. That's the reality of it. And also that mode that you get into when you're not
Yeah.
working, you can get quite down on yourself, but you have to be, as you said at the start of the show, you have to be the guy that's like happy and
Yeah.
confident and clear and concise and all these things. And I'm glad you mentioned social media, because I get to a point sometimes where this might sound crazy, but I can't watch the telly, because I'm watching people do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's a negative, because I should be embracing the industry I work in. I should be celebrating other people's success. I should be learning from them. But sometimes I simply can't do it, because it's like the Instagram stuff. They're there, that person's doing that. Why am I not doing that? And that has genuinely been, I won't name specific jobs, but there have been jobs recently that I'm no longer doing that have really affected my private life, like, and my, as you talked about, your mental health, because
Yeah.
you don't often get explanations for why you're no longer doing
Yeah.
work. And I find that to be it's very impersonal, and that can be tricky, because a simple explanation from somebody can go a long way to helping you move to the next thing.
Yeah. There's so many parodies there, Max, with the acting world, where you can put your soul into prepping for auditions. Some shows you in 3, 4, 5 times, and you just won't hear anything. And it's like, well, hang on, I've given so much to this project, and yet I've just had no feedback, and yet we're expected to plough on to the next, with confidence and positivity, and that's so difficult. And even if it isn't great to hear, that feeling will soon dissipate, but at least you have something,
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, when you really care about, I think that's something that I will always
Yeah.
pride myself on. Whatever job I'm working on, whatever new sport it might be, men's sport, women's sport. Like I've done when I did the netball at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham a few years ago. I really loved it. And what I was going to say is I really buy into whatever I'm working on, who I'm working with, and
Yeah.
I treat the sport and the show with respect. And I think that's sometimes where you just want a little bit back. And
Yeah.
the booze thing that you've mentioned, Ben, like I've had what 3 or 4 drinks since last September,
Oh, wow.
and it
Do you feel
does.
good? Do you feel good?
Yeah, I read somewhere that when you're sober, it's like living life in HD. Have you seen that quote?
No, but whoever said it is right. It's ridiculously brilliant.
Good and
and
bad, right?
and
Everything's
helps.
clear.
Yeah, it's crystal clear, and it helps massively with being a self-employed creative person, because you can maintain that balance, and you realise that, okay, I can cope with this. Even on the tough days, it's like you're just better equipped to cope with life, full stop. Never mind what you do.
What's replaced alcohol then? And what were you, was it a crutch, like filling the days between, was that how you started drinking?
No, it was just a build-up. But I've been in I've been touring for like 25, 30 years, Max, and very sociable, finishing a show, straight to the pub for 25, 30 years. On tour, brilliant. Necking pints before last orders. And it was just an escalation, but increasingly I was getting lethargic, sluggish. I lacked creativity, positivity. I was literally looking like Grey Ben, just like this. And I'm obsessed with, I've said before on previous episodes, the before and after in my eyes and skin. It's like literally conquers bonkers. Honestly, the difference is crazy, Max. Just what it's brought to me, like aesthetically, confidence-wise, and it's just given me a fearlessness and a new lease of life. Like literally the best thing I've done for myself, without a shadow of a doubt. You're just giving yourself such a better chance of a happier life.
You are. I never really, like, the media thing is real. Like after a show, there is so much. I would say the culture of it as well. Like I think the pressure from the outside doesn't help. You need somebody there that can either call out a person who's saying, "Oh, why aren't you drinking?" or someone who is there not drinking with you.
Yeah.
That there are just still groups of people that are, going to say something. But I think that's, for me, what's really helped is the clarity after the fact. I can enjoy something for what it is and not feeling any type of way the next day. That's really helped. I don't think my anxiety has gone down yet, because I actually stopped drinking because of that.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it will help over time. But I guess for me, it's like the feeling of being out of control is something that makes me really anxious. So taking alcohol out is one of those things that can help.
Yeah, well, you're just helping yourself massively, Max. Every experience I have is so heightened now, good or bad, and I love that. And like you say, especially if there's a busy day at work or a busy day, just a busy day in life, the following day, to wake up feeling fresh, it's like, it's that feeling that never gets old when I'm, got my Cocoa Pops on the go. It's like this is a good day. It's a great day.
That'll save you. The best bit is the end, isn't it? The chocolate milk.
Here we go. Now we're cooking.
My mum's partner, Brian, he eats cornflakes like there's no tomorrow. And every time I go home, she's got like 10 mega packs on top of the cupboard. How is he getting through these? But he gets through them very quickly.
Oh, God. I'm going to have a cereal off with Brian.
I'll send you a photo. It's amazing.
What I love, Max, as well, you've been so open today, which I really appreciate. And I just wondered if people listening who, I've explained about, that I have to cling on to my exercise and that morning cup of coffee just to kind of anchor my day if I'm struggling a little bit. But I just wondered, is there anything you have in place where if you are kind of struggling away from work, that you mentioned, going to museums, but is there anything where you just think, I feel good here, I feel happy, and just kind of relaxed in a moment?
Yeah, there's a lot of things actually. So, and I have to do them consistently. I got into walking just after COVID, actually. Long walking, like going for 2-3 hour walks on a day off. I think that's really positive. Like if you've got nothing to prep for or nothing to do, get up and just go for a walk. That's always been, because you can do so many things on that walk as well. You can call people, you can listen to a podcast, you can listen to a book story. So that's the first thing I would say. I think after a big job, like a travel job, I want to get on a walk that I'm familiar with. Reading is something that I've done for, a long time now. Fiction at the moment, I'm just really into my reading, and I've got a book for every month from Christmas that's not open. So I'm like trying to read a book a month at the moment, which is nice.
Oh, that's amazing.
A nice little gift. So that's something I do to calm myself. Yoga, if I could recommend yoga with Cassandra on YouTube, she's very good. And then a lot of breath work. Like I'm kind of dipping in and out of journaling. I know it can be cliche. People say like journal really helps, and I've gone through phases where I've written loads down in the morning or in the evening, written down grateful journals. But sometimes I like to step away from how I'm actually feeling. I don't want to remind myself all the time, so I'll stop writing. But like having people in my life like yourself, like I can talk to, And yeah, I mean, those are the consistent things like meditation, like just, it doesn't have to be an exact science. You just sit down for 10, 15 minutes and breathe. That's kind of bringing yourself back to the present moment, which is what you need to do when you feel anxious, right? So those would be the things for me. Obviously there's lots that you can do to help yourself.
What would be your happiest start to the day? Would it just be a slow kind of burn into the day ahead?
For me, particularly mentally, I need to be able to get up, and if I've got a job that day, go and, get up, do a yoga, breathe for 10 minutes, just sit there. If I've got time, I will have a herbal tea, and then I get on with my day. I think having a purpose. So if I've got a job, it always helps me. I think those days where I'm prepping or it's a bit quieter, I think the biggest issue for me is getting out of bed. That is, I don't know how you are with this, but sometimes I just don't want to face it.
Yeah, usually the busier I am, the better I am at getting up in the morning. It's kind of bonkers, really.
Oh, I'll say all the time, like, how am I genuinely, how am I going to do this job today? I feel like this. How am I going to go perform? How am I going to meet these people? And then the second I'm there, I'm distracted. I'm the better version of myself. That's how you can relate to that, right? And it's the moments between, it's the days between when you're worrying and you're telling yourself a story. It's storytelling all the time. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be this. My brain needs to behave like this. But once you're there and you're in that, I would say it's a flow state, right? It's a comfort zone, because for us, like, performing is where we are relaxed. Like, you said something at the top about being more nervous for certain things. I would be far more nervous for, let's say, a speech at a wedding than I would be doing my job. And people would expect you to be really good at talking in public, but that's not the case. The job is what, it just creates this sort of cocoon around me where I'm like, okay, I am safe. I need to do this, so I will do this. Whereas the time off, my head could go in so many different directions.
Yeah. But it's so nuts, Max. I've just recorded a series called Heroes of Heroes, but it's the first time I've been approached to do something as myself, whilst, being alcohol free. And my anxiety the night before was ridiculous. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, imposter syndrome. All these brilliant people from different fields of TV and film have taken this chance of me. There's a lot on this, and for me professionally and personally as well. But likewise, as soon as I got on set and with like-minded people, and it's funny, isn't it? Because you're just in like work zone then, and got through it, and it was a beautiful experience. And again, like that first occasion on the 100, I was like, what was I worried about? And I think as well, like, we've a lot to thank for the characters we do work with, because you make some beautiful connections, don't you? I think we're lucky in that respect.
You can have, as I said, like, you get into that moment and you feel good, but it's so much about as well the interviewee, the person, how much are they giving you back? Because we've all been there with a difficult interview, short answers, and especially when you have to fill a certain amount of time with that person. It's so hard. It's an awful moment. You also learn so much about yourself in those moments as well. It's a skill to be able to fill time when you're getting nothing back. But those moments are real. I remember my first pitch side hosting job with Villa. We qualified for Europe for the first time in a long time. It was a few years ago now, and it was going to be on the pitch, like interviewing players before the match, doing the player introductions, halftime game, post-match interviews. And my girlfriend was at a wedding the day before, and I must have called her like 5-6 times, just like, what, just all the questions you have when you're sat there before your series starts, like this, that, and the other. And then you do it and you're like, wow, that was like amazing. And I felt great doing it.
You're so good at what you do. And I know why, because you do the prep, but you're such a good bloke, Max. And I just want to thank you so much for being so open. Look at my smile. I love it. I am one happy sausage.
You're wonderful. But you make it easy for me and for everyone around you. So I appreciate that.
Ah, that's really kind, Max. Thank you so much for joining me, Max Whittle, in Benjy's Cafe podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the brilliant Max Whittle. Such a great guy. Don't forget, a fresh new episode of Benjy's Cafe Podcast drops every Tuesday. Just find us wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a follow so every episode gets sent straight to your phone. Tell your friends, tell your family, and if you can, please leave a review. Joining me next week in Benjy's Cafe is the Great British Bake Off star, the chef and presenter, Bryony May Williams. I'll get the kettle on. Have a great day.